2022 is Ndavi Noreki.
I'm happy for my homie to have won it. Limpopo, we keep on representing. We're #1. We're never losing.
We look forward to her as an inspiration to us. And hopefully she'll be able to open job opportunities.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much for representing us as Tsonga ladies.
A very big congratulations and all the best for the future. And may she win Miss World, Miss Universe, and may the Lord God Almighty bless her and continue to improve and increase her and make her an icon and use her for His will for her life.
She's making us proud as a country, and she's very beautiful though. I really like her. All right.
Dumelang Samanani. Hello, South Africa. A very warm welcome to Expressions. And of course, those were a lot of congratulations to the current Miss South Africa 2022. And with that said, you know, this is definitely the #1 youth current affairs show. And this is definitely where you get to air your views. I'm your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
We still your #1 youth current affairs show. We continue here with important conversations ohlelweni. Namhlanje, as we're wrapping up Women's Month, we felt it's very important to reflect on the successes of women in the country. At the back of that victorious win by the new reigning Miss SA Ndavi Noreki. We had the opportunity to, of course, speak to her because you do know that we are your #1 youth current affairs show. What do you have to say about the conversations that we're having ohlelweni namhlanje? At the back of that, we, of course, went to Miss SA to have a sit down with her to find out what her hopes, dreams and aspirations are after winning that crown. Take a look at what happened with that conversation. I'm just khulumisana kanye no Miss SA who's joining us on the show. I don't know whether to be excited, whether to pinch myself. Ndavi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. You know what? I'm sure you still haven't gotten over what's happened over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Talk to us about this experience and how your life has changed.
It's been incredible. You know, for the first week, I literally had to sleep with the crown next to my bed raise. Just so I remember when I wake up, oh yes, that actually happened. Yeah. And I needed to pinch myself, like you're saying, to remind myself that I am Miss South Africa. So it's been absolutely incredible. I've gotten to have such amazing conversations with people like you. And so, yeah, it's been such a life-changing experience.
So I want to know from you, what do you plan on doing, especially at this particular time with your reign? And what are some of the causes that are closest to your heart that you say you want to target this and that?
So throughout my reign, I really want to focus on bridging that educational inequality gap in our country. I think it's something that we should be focusing on ensuring that learners, even from the underprivileged areas, underdeveloped areas, have all the resources that they need to become successful in their professional and academic careers. As a woman who grew up in both worlds, you know, I got to go to schools in town, and growing up in the village, I saw the difference between the quality of the education. And so I think it's really important for us to ensure that they get the exact same quality education for them to also just have, to make informed decisions about their futures.
You know, I know at some point you also speak of inclusivity in our spaces. And I don't know how you feel about conversations now being around having Miss South Africa that are married, or Miss South Africa that have children or babies. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's such a great initiative. I think it's very important for us to continue to evolve, especially in the pageant space. If we're going to talk about women empowerment, we need to talk about all the women. And so I'm really happy that we are taking the steps towards things like that, because we really need to ensure that all the women feel represented, because you're like you're saying, inclusivity is important. And so I'm really happy that we are going in the right direction. I think more now than ever, beauty pageants are important because they really do highlight that we as women are leaders, and they really give us a platform to show that we are multifaceted. You cannot box a woman into just being, you know, in a corporate space. We can do both. I myself worked for an asset manager before I entered the pageant, and so it really shows that we have different strengths, and it allows us to, you know, go into everything that we're good at. So outing encourage them to believe, firstly, that it is possible, because it is. If I myself, a girl from Gavaza, can sit here today and say I am a Miss South Africa, then surely it is possible for them as well.
So that was the really powerful and insightful conversation that Mxolisi had with our current and reigning queen of South Africa, Miss SA 2022, on some of the very important and pivotal issues that we're going to be discussing today in studio. And to actually help me unpack this very important issue, I'm joined by Caroline Botha, who is the CEO of Pageants South Africa and Africa Pageants. I'm also joined by Utumela Sandra Setole, who is a social mobilizer for Soul City Institute. And I'm also joined on Zoom, Stephanie Whale, who is the CEO of Miss South Africa Pageant. I love this because it's all women. A very warm welcome to Expressions.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
And thank you for having us.
And I love this because, and let me tell you why I love it, because it's our hashtag wrapping up Women's Month, but it's also hashtag, you know, what's the relevance of pageants in this country, and of course the important conversation that we're having today. And for you, Stephanie, I just wanted to find out, why now? Why this inclusivity right now when it comes to women who are married and of course women who have had children before, when we do have a Mrs. South Africa pageantry in South Africa?
You know, it's a change that we've been wanting to implement for a couple of years now, and we are very happy to hear the news of Miss Universe opening themselves up, as we have been in discussions with them for a numerous amount of years discussing those exact points. So it was a welcomed decision made by the Miss Universe organization so that we could ultimately change our rules. I don't believe we will ever get to a place of equality as women, as men, should we not have institutions like pageantry, which are or have been so set in their ways, to be able to push forward and include and be inclusive and really open it up. At the end of the day, this pageant, specifically, I'm going to talk about Miss South Africa, is a platform. It's a platform for your voice to be heard. It's a platform to showcase the power and inner strength of a woman. And that is the bottom line of what it is. So that should not exclude you based on any numerous amount of issues.
As much as it's great, and I think we always have to celebrate, you know, the power of women, we have to celebrate inclusivity and representation, context is also very important. We are part of a country where teenage pregnancy is extremely high, for instance, and we're still struggling with GBV. And, you know, as much as we want to promote equal voices of women, how is this particular principle and value, speaking within a South African context, sort of helping what we are currently facing as South Africa? Because our Miss South Africa has to almost, you know, resemble and speak to what we are facing currently. Is this a positive? Is this a negative for South Africa?
Look, there's 2 points to it. First of all, it's positive because it's becoming inclusive. And I think that anyone, no matter what their gender or their race or their sex, has a voice. And if used properly, that voice can actually take the platform to new levels. However, young girls for many years have groomed themselves and got themselves ready for Miss South Africa, and now becoming inclusive of married ladies. You've got a young girl who's, say, 22 years old, who has really looked after her morals and her values, and she's now competing against a Mrs. who's perhaps 25, 26, who's had a relationship and been in a marriage for a few years, is more worldly wise. My biggest issue is, how will the family unit deal with a Miss South Africa being a married lady with a child? And I know that we've got corporate women that run corporate companies and they manage their times. But Miss South Africa is a very, very different role, where she doesn't have a 9-to-5 job. She doesn't have a job where she can take work home in the evening and still be with her family. What will happen with her husband and her child when she's away on various functions? And how will her husband react to the sudden limelight over his wife? How's it going to affect the marital status of when she's now thrown into this limelight?
Again, the world is changing so much. Then when we're saying, Uti, you know, we now need to be more inclusive and we need to push that line even further, is our country there yet to be this inclusive, to be this representative?
Well, because we advocate as Soul City for women to, or young people rather, to have access to social and reproductive health and to be able to enjoy those rights. I mean, young women, like many other people, have the right to choose that they want to have a baby or not, whether they want to get married or not, when and with whom. And now if we are saying that a young woman who has been a mother before cannot enter Miss SA, are we not looking at some of the circumstances that might have led her to that situation? She could have been violated as a child. It might not always have been a behavioral issue or a choice, but are we now saying that because she's in this situation or facing these circumstances, are her dreams now being limited to her having a child? What if it has always been her dream to be a beauty queen or however? Now that she's got a child, however the circumstances, does that now put a red robot on her ambitions, on her dreams? So we are very excited for this announcement, and we believe that a woman with a child who has had a child at a young age is still in a position to inspire, is still in a position to say, look, I have faced circumstances, I've faced the difficulties, I'm fighting through it, and I am making it through.
And look, and I don't think it's an easy fix, but I mean, we're going to continue with this conversation a little bit after the break. I mean, for you as a young person, Kochai, I mean, we love Miss South Africa, we love the pageantry, but do you think that this is a great example for you, Kochai? Do you think that it represents the values and the principles that you want to hold as a young woman in South Africa? We continue with this very important conversation. On the flip side of this is Mkolisi. Stay with us.
Expressions. We are in the streets of Braamfontein. Miss SA has announced that it wants to allow married women and mothers to participate in the pageant. Siyabuza apha ekhaya, do you think that's a good move? Masive Kubo.
This inclusivity will allow more people to actually enter, because if the criteria says you're not supposed to have kids, when you're capable of actually taking up space.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, baby, I'll do a chance, chance.
Yeah, it's a good move because we can't discriminate against women that are married and pregnant.
It's a society that different because so I feel like it's a fair thing, you know, to let everyone participate.
Responsibilities as needs.
I'm not sure about married women because we have a Miss South Africa pageant.
It doesn't matter whether you're a mother, a child or what, but if you have passion on it, go for it.
But then it's not a good idea.
There's still hope for you as well. Even if you have like as many kids as you have, there's still hope. So that's actually a good thing. It's inspiring. I feel inspired right now, so yeah.
All right, you still with Expressions. This is your #1 youth current affairs show. Around pageants, especially now as we're wrapping up Women's Month. We're joined by Utando, who is a model, as well as Godfrey Mphatswe, and as well as Misha Smith, who is Miss Junior South Africa, to have this conversation further with us on the program. Welcome, guys. It's great to have you on the show. Tando, I'm going to start with you. What do pageants mean for you, especially inclusivity, as far as the Miss SA end is concerned? What is your take on that?
First of all, Miss South Africa is a job. People need to understand that before they form any opinion on this announcement that's been made. So like any other job, there's always going to be women who are pregnant, women who are married. So why should this specific job take away from allowing women to carry out ambassadorial duties? So like any other job, Beyonce, most busiest woman, is both a wife and a mother, and she still is one of the best renowned artists in the world. So before anything else, it is a job, and people need to keep that at top of mind.
Right, so Godfrey, but I mean, as a person that normally deals with pageants, do you think this is fair at all? Or are they forced to conform to the same regulations as Miss SA, or you feel scales are a bit unequal? What do you think?
Okay, thank you, Mto. With us, you know, I'm Mr. SA finalist 2016, and I'm Mr. International Africa. So on that pageant, we were inclusive, you know. It doesn't matter if you're married, you're not married, you have a kid or you don't have a kid, you know. I think everyone deserves a fair chance, you know. For women, you get those women who, like, they were in school and they were raped, then they bear a child. So you can now say they don't deserve that platform. So it's unfair. So I'm with Miss South Africa to say they must include them.
So would that be your same takeout from this, Mish? I mean, you are Miss Junior South Africa, right? What is your take on how things are seemingly moving towards inclusivity as far as pageantry is concerned?
Well, I can understand the fact that many young women would like to get married at a young age. Like, I know many students that I study with is already married and they're 20 years old. But I was raised in pageantry as the morals that when you wear this title is your life. I mean, Miss South Africa has so many roles on her plate and stuff she needs to do. So I can only imagine the pressure that's on her shoulders when she still has a family to take after or a baby. So
you don't agree with what Tando's saying?
No, I agree totally. I mean, I am for and against it. I mean, there's many roles and eyes you can look at from, but I mostly think that if Miss South Africa is crowned, her focus needs to be on her reigning title.
Yeah.
There can't be distractions because that makes a lot of pressure on her. Because I know for me, for instance, I'm Miss Junior South Africa, so still having university on my plate and having a life revolved around it, I still place my title first.
So the assumption from my side would be that since you're Miss Junior South Africa, you still aspire to be Miss South Africa, right? Would that be correct?
One day, yes, maybe.
Yes. So you would say that with all this inclusivity talks, you feel it takes away the shine from the pageant itself. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it takes away the importance of the pageant because Miss South Africa later goes on to being Miss Universe and Miss World. And as soon as you are crowned as Miss Universe or Miss World, that pressure that's on you is a lot far worse, or it's much more than just
Tando, she says, you know, it's a lot of pressure. She says it's a lot of pressure. Don't allow it. What do you say?
Just like how he was saying, when they entered Mr. South Africa, it didn't matter whether your marital status, whether you were a dad, but that same category criteria was applied to a Miss South Africa. So why is it that we as Miss South Africa or people who aspire to Miss South Africa need to live in accordance to what I would say are very outdated rules, very outdated criteria? The world is progressing. Why aren't we progressing with the world? Not so long ago.
But I think he pointed out it becomes too much for most of all Miss South Africa. There's a lot on your plate.
Women can multitask, just like anyone. Like I said earlier on, it's a job. If I'm a lawyer tomorrow and I aspire to also marry and also have children, I'm going to be able to find a balance between the many hats that I wear as a woman. So me having a crown and a sash should not restrict me from being able to perform all those duties respectively.
So Godfrey, from a male's perspective and all of this, especially when involved in pageants.
Yeah, you know, it's very challenging when coming to women because women, you have Miss, you have Mrs. And with the other one is for married ones and with the other one with the kids, you see. So I think with Miss South Africa, maybe they can include people with kids, but not married ones. Yeah, I think it's fair that way.
Okay, so guys, I have to thank you so much. Masha Smith is Miss Junior South Africa, Godfrey Mpatswe, as well as Tando Mfundisi, who's a model. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the show for this conversation. I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
Right, Mbugeli Lapikaya, Useni Zweleke from our guests, what do you have to say, Lapikaya, about this conversation that we're having? Ohlelweni, should, of course, there be a difference between Miss South Africa and the duties that she has, Kanye Futi, Nabo Mrs. South Africa? Should there be different pageants for different women to partake in singathathi bonke abantu besifazane and put them in Miss SA? What's your take on the conversations? Join us after the break. Ujeku Uyevala.
back. You're still watching Expressions, your #1 youth current affairs show. And of course, we are having a very hot issue that we're discussing here in studio. And of course, it's around allowing mothers and married ladies to compete in the beloved Miss South Africa pageant that we've obviously seen in this country. And of course, to actually just close the conversation up a little bit, I'm still obviously with my wonderful guests and so forth. And I think, ladies, before we get into just the closing comments, we heard some of the insights that were being shared when Mkolisi was having that conversation. And I just wanted to find out from you, what are some of your takeaways?
I am still on the fact that, you know what, there are circumstances and situations that are beyond some of our young girls' control. And they do find themselves in situation, and it is not always by choice or by reckless behavior or so. I honestly and strongly believe that give them the chance. Give them the chance and see. Let us not prejudge based on the fact that she has a child or she's married and this may be a bit much for her. Give her the chance. Give her the voice.
Ideally, in the world of pageantry in South Africa, there are so many young girls that have worked their way up to become Miss South Africa. And now they've got to compete against people who have maybe been reckless and irresponsible. They've now got to compete against a Mrs. when there is already a Mrs. pageant. What are they going to call Miss South Africa from now on? Are they dropping the word Miss? Is it just going to be South Africa pageant? What are they going to call it?
And of course, we cannot forget about Stephanie, who is obviously on Zoom, just to, obviously make sure that she's also part of this conversation.
Miss South Africa is built around the fact that you're going after your dreams. It's a platform for your voice. And the woman who represents this title is one that relates, as was said, to every single young girl across this country. And that's what you're looking for. And that's what you're looking at as a Miss South Africa. So, that's really the purpose of a platform like Miss South Africa. And for me to be all-inclusive is all that I've ever wanted. So I'm over the moon about the whole situation.
You ladies have definitely given us a nice diversity and opinions and views around this particular issue. And it's up to you, Gochai, to basically decide for yourself. Nklo, I think I'm just going to call you up, hey? This is not easy, but again, thank you, ladies. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Dumelo. Thank you, Caroline, as well, for allowing us to unpack this as we wrap up Women's Month. Still, hey, congratulations to Miss South Africa. We're so proud of you. Absolutely. Yes. So proud of you. We're proud of you. We love your expressions.
Yeah.
I envy you, hey?
Yeah, no,
I wish I was there.
Thank you so much for joining us, namhlanje, Ohlelweni, and thank you for your participation in Good Lenzethu Zokuxhumana. Cheryl Zondi plays us out. From all of us here at Expressions, till next time, Nsalehle.
Adios, muchachos. Bye.
Umuntu nomsebenzi odalelwe yena emhlabeni akekho uzokusebenzela akekho uzotsivuka emaqandeni uma ulele amaphupha wafezeke bapusheni amaphupha wafezeke bapusheni amaphupha wafezeke mapusheni 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 amaphupha wafezeke mapusheni.